Greetings to the dear citizens of the Republic of the Gambia in the service of the nation and humanity. I am your brother Essa Bokarr, and we are going to begin our session today with the following topic or theme, which is indeed an important one, considering the prevailing circumstances and the great expectations that are in the minds and the hearts, or for the specifics in the psyche of Gambian society as we speak. The theme is an anti-corruption czar must be tabled by National Assembly members to ascertain checks and balances, fight corruption, then weaken the desires which are the root causes of conflict of interest, where national interests should derive a better meaning from service. National interest, once recognized as the peak of all priorities, will eventually see the end of conflict of interest. Now, that said, we have a lot to discuss at this point, but contents of what we have to present to each one of us today. Now, where it comes to diagnosing topics like what we have just begun, we are going to proceed in earnest. To that effect, we cannot leave any stone unturned where some things are left to be addressed, particularly things that are matters of concern and then affect national interest. Now, talk of potential conflict of interest remains a cause for concern across the board, therefore must be diagnosed as a contagious disease by surgeons in quotes from the Hospital of Political Science. Now, the judiciary and the legislature should then be the surgeons. In light of the aforesaid, it has come to a point where stakeholders like researchers, analysts, policymakers, lawmakers, and social watchdogs should work hard towards putting in place a solid platform to that effect. Now, to begin with, an anti-corruption czar should be tabled by National Assembly members as soon as possible. Well, before we proceed on our talking points, I want to expand on this at this juncture to make each one of us understand that anti-corruption czars are not new in countries like China and the United States of America. Now, that in itself, if you look at it and then you reflect on the performance of the economies of these two giant economies in the world, you would come to see the need for us to think of institutions like this one. Indeed, it will be headed by the czar himself or herself, but it is still an institution. We should do away with things like ombudsman and all that. We should definitely think of an anti-corruption czar. If we do, coupled with the laws of the land, which of course should be respected, because nobody should be above and below the law, then the assurance of us not being a republic that keeps on feeding its spirit and soul with endless commissions of inquiries will come to an end. Now, like I said earlier, to begin with, an anti-corruption czar should be tabled by National Assembly members as soon as possible. Now, such a structure or such an institution would complement the efforts of institutions charged with the responsibility of maintaining checks and balances in the Republic. Now, before we end this part of the program, we should ask ourselves, or we are going to ask ourselves this question: why put in place an anti-corruption czar? Corruption's pernicious impact on government, accountability, business integrity, effective economic development, and national security has led to a burgeoning global demand from the public, private and non-profit sectors for skilled practitioners. Lest we want to forget the reason why the international conference I attended last year in Dakar was organized, which was Digital Trust in West Africa. It's all part of it. In fact, corruption and security threat are twins. Anti-corruption and the fight against security threats also are twins. Which is why equipping oneself to meet this demand is necessary. It can also deepen expertise and expand a network whose actions are geared towards fighting against corruption or anything unethical per se, or where ethics and compliance are mirages. We should instead turn those mirages into pools, springs, oases, and rivers. Mounting allegations of corruption worldwide, I can say, violations of established ethical norms, and the weakening of accountability mechanisms in countries like the United States of America and other parts of the world, and many other parts of the world for that matter, underscore the critical need for legal professionals knowledgeable about anti-corruption laws, cases, codes of conduct, compliance training, and risk management tools. To be, of course, the guiding principles, or at best the quick reference guide in this case. Now, that is the very reason why we should think of supporting the idea of putting in place an anti-corruption czar in the Gambia, and the National Assembly members should think of tabling this as soon as possible. Thank you.